What is up, my muchachos? Welcome to the bar. I am the guy,
I'm the other guy.
and together we make something.
Actually, we make nothing, but
Hey, come on.
I mean, Seinfeld's about nothing, and it's great.
Yeah, right, point taken. Anyway, so we both reviewed our movies
We
for our
did
assignments this monthish.
our assignment.
Yes, our epic quest.
I'm going
Nick,
first.
I had you. What?
Okay, I'm going first. All right.
All right. You watched Watchmen.
I
What'd you think?
did. I thought. Let me
Did
start by saying that. Let me start by saying that. V for Vendetta is still my favorite DC movie. Um, I thought Watchmen was fine. It has problems, but it's fine. It's a fine movie.
Hmm.
Um, let me say that there's some really bad CGI in this.
What do you mean?
I don't remember the character's name, but it's that blue guy.
Dr. Manhattan?
Yeah, he looks awful. It looks like a modern Marvel movie.
Yes, but it was made back in the days.
I don't care. It still looks bad.
Hmm.
Um, the music, listen, I like most of the songs in the movie except for Bob Dylan. Um, they really didn't like, except for a couple, they barely fit. It just felt like, Zack Snyder had the Warner Brothers credit card and could get any song he wanted.
Hmm.
Um, but the main problem I have with this movie is this film doesn't do a good job at introducing who these characters are, and it just kind of throws you in. And I have no idea who these people are at all. So for when they say things about the movie like the comedian, okay, who is that?
He's a guy who was murdered at the start.
Yeah, but I had no idea that until later in the movie.
Hmm.
I didn't know the other names of the characters. It felt like a movie where unless you're familiar with the source material, you're going to be very confused,
Hmm.
which is not a great sign for a superhero movie.
Hmm.
That being said, I think the story is interesting. It's not great, but it's I'll give it some credit. It's interesting.
Hmm.
Um, I would never watch it again. I think it's too long. It's almost 3 hours. I did not watch the director's cut. I I don't believe in director's cuts almost ever.
You know, Nick,
I
I'm
will
trying
give
to
the
hold
movie.
between this and Trek. I'm really having to hold myself back here.
Listen, I like V for Vendetta. That is my favorite DC movie, and we both can agree on that.
Hmm? Okay.
I'm giving this movie a 6 out of 10. I do think this movie is better than Shrek.
Hmm. Hard disagree, but sure.
What do you
The
think of
only movie.
Watchmen? Do you like it?
Look, I like. I originally watched the motion comic of Watchmen, which is on YouTube. Hell of a lot longer, and I understand why you didn't want to watch that one, but it's generally a lot better than the Snyder movie. As a fan of the original, the Snyder movie, I admit, has a lot of Snyderisms in it.
Of
Mainly the fact,
course.
the color scheme, oddly enough, because in the comic book, it's very red and orange, but in this
Very
one, it has
blue.
the classic. Yeah, because I heard Snyder is colorblind, which is why all his movies are obscenely
No,
blue. It just looks
that
cool.
actually makes a lot of sense now that you say that. I never thought of that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Anyway, I
Okay,
don't.
okay. Well, hold on. You mentioned the motion comic thing on YouTube. Would you agree that if you had not watched that, you would be confused by this movie?
Not completely, since I'm guessing I'm more of a comics guy than you are,
Yeah, I
but
don't read comics. I've never read comics.
there's some good ones out there. But that said, it's not as good as the comics, in my opinion. Mainly because there's the whole Snyderisms in it. There's a lot of weird parts, like they basically are able to taekwondo 50 people at once, which is shot and done well in the movie. But within the comic, the idea, the whole controversy is all the superheroes in this world aren't actually superpowered. They're just normal people. So why do they get all these privileges to beat people up, except for Dr.
Right.
Manhattan? And then my other problem, I found it a bit odd how they changed it to be, because in the comics, Ozymandias, he's still, spoiler alert, basically makes the world think they're all under attack. They need to band together. Except he uses scientists who made the animal, make it an alien like creature, and drop it on New York. And in the movie, they have it so they make it, they think that Dr. Manhattan nuked them all, which is a weird change, but I think they did it competently. I'm just confused why they made it, to be honest.
It's fair.
Those are my two.
How would
Those
you
are
rate
my
the
two
movie?
cents. Uh, Honestly, 8 out of 10. Like it has its flaws, but if I said I that they made me absolutely despise the movie, didn't like it at all, I'd be lying. Because despite the weird changes they made, I enjoyed the movie. And while it's not the best interpretation they could bring onto screen, I think it did a serviceable job.
Is it better
Yeah,
than
that's
the
my
HBO series?
yes, extremely.
Okay. Yeah,
Have you seen the HBO series?
I didn't watch it, but I saw it on
No,
Max.
don't. It has next to nothing to do with the Watchmen at all.
All right. All right.
Anyway,
That's
so
Watchmen. You watch. I chose for you the 2010 film Black Swan. What do you think?
yeah. Well, first off, I'd just like to say I really liked the main theme of what's the play, Swan Lake. I used to
Yeah.
listen to that a lot. I What on earth is with the plot of Swan Lake? She It's like the most Russian play I've ever heard where oh, she can't find freedom in love, but she can find freedom in death. She
Just
yeets
got a that's
herself
just
off
kind
a
of
cliff.
Russian folklore.
I know, but it just kind of makes it hard to enjoy the movie. Sorry, the main theme.
Yeah.
Because beforehand, I just thought music pretty, only to learn, oh, she's killing herself because she's sad. Of course. Anyway,
Uh,
I should probably get back on track. Black
yes.
Swan is a horror movie, a psychological one at that, which
Yeah.
means it's usually slow, but this one isn't as boring as most of them. Anyway, in Black Swan, we have Ballerina, who's played by Natalie Portman.
Yeah. From V for Vendetta.
All right. So Portman, basically, she's on this ballet troupe, and the guy there, he's creepy. He basically just wants to shag any of the dancers he likes. So he puts on a new version of Swan Lake, where she is trying to get the role of the main character who plays the white swan and the black swan. And he is just an ass to her, says, you can't be the black swan, you're not evil. You're not good at your job. And he just and the whole movie's just about her psychological descent into madness, mainly due to literally everyone in this movie being a piece of trash.
Yeah.
Anyway, it eventually culminates in them performing the whole Swan Lake. She thinks she murders someone, but turns out she doesn't. She just accidentally rammed herself into a mirror and killed herself. And it ends with her throwing herself onto a bed, bleeding to death. Now, well, where do I start with it? This is gonna sound odd, but I think the acting was a bit too good. If you
Yeah,
To clarify by that, one of the biggest
it's a
problems I
compliment.
had with well, the problem I have is not just in horror, but writing in general. It's fine having hateable characters, but you also have to have likable characters. You know, someone to root
I
for,
know. I can definitely think of movies like that.
yeah, and someone to root against. The problem I had with this one, biggest one, was I kind of hate everyone in this movie. Natalie Portman
Really?
just has like a terrible life and is going nuts, and so she's not too bad. But her mom's an abusive creep. Her stage
Yeah.
director is an abusive creep. The Beth lady's just an ass who gets hit by a car. There's the other ballerina who's trying to sabotage her occasionally, or maybe that's just a dream in the head, or what have you. And then there's everyone else just kind of doesn't exist, or is like, shut off, I'm doing my own thing, which results in the weird parts where she slams the door on her own mother's hand. And I'm not thinking, oh no, the horror, she's going crazy. I'm thinking, yeah, 3 point that woman's bones, she's an ass. I don't know, it just creates a bit of a weird tone or weird feeling for me. The second, this might just be me, but there was a lot of gross out points for me, like where the guy is like, "Oh, you need to play the Black Swan, then kiss her," and talks about, "Oh,
Oh,
I'll
yeah. I
be
mean,
with
that's
another violent."
intentional.
I know, but then it goes to, "Oh, you should go home. Your homework is to touch yourself."
Oh,
Then she's
yeah. I
banging someone
I
else.
forgot
Then
about that.
she pulls glass out of her stomach and all this stuff, and it's like, I don't know. It was. I may just be a bit more squeamish on this, but a lot of that was just kind of yeah to me.
I mean, I think of it as let me just say that this is my second favorite movie ever made.
Um,
Um, I love this movie to death, but yeah, that's all intentional. It's part of like her driven madness. And that's what's great about it.
yeah, I definitely see that. I'm not trying to trash it over that aspect. I'm just saying it kind of
And again,
turned
like
me off to it.
the mother character, yes, she is a bitch. However, that is kind of the point.
Hey, I'm not saying that it's not what they intended or they didn't do a good job. I'm saying when everyone isn't likable,
I
you're
know.
kind of just rooting for the whole thing to burn down. Anyway, I know I'm kind of bumming you out with that, but with all that said, I do, when it comes to a lot of psychological horror movies, I've had to seen a lot of them since I have two younger sisters who love those movies for some reason. And most of them are he's trapped in a building with a scary thingy, and then we're gonna wait 20 minutes for a jump scare, and then silence, and then
I mean,
sequel.
it's a smart movie.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. This movie, unlike most others, feels like it had some actual intelligence behind it. And thank God the main person that died. I know that sounds weird, but I am sick to death of how 90% of horror movies refuse to have an ending. They're all sequel bait.
Yeah.
And this one's ending, despite me being a bit confused, I think it was really well done.
What would you
And
rate it?
Descent into Mad, uh, either a very high 7 or low 8 out of
No.
10, because I have my own problems with it. But as far as
Sure.
psychological horror movies go, it was one of the best I've seen, which admittedly is a very low bar, but still, I liked it. I'm
I
not
mean,
sure how to rate this.
I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Of course.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not sure how to rate the soundtrack because while it is good, most of it's kind of just copied from Swan Lake, just the main theme made
I
slightly
mean,
louder. So
that's kind of I mean the show that they do is Swan Lake, so it makes sense.
I know I'm just not sure if I should say it has a great soundtrack when most of that's from
Well, and
something
also
else.
I guess now I think about it also. I guess to another point of the psychological madness is that the repetitiveness of the Swan Lake music too.
Perhaps. So I did. Do I have to admit that part where you think she murdered someone only to find out she didn't? That really made me stop for a second because that really screwed my head. Because I thought for certain she was actually just going full out insane and murdered that other lady.
Yeah.
Only for like when she said basically when she got drugged and the other lady was like, "Oh, what do you mean? We didn't have any party last night or do anything last night together." I thought she was just gaslighting her, trying to take the spot.
Yeah.
But then you start rethinking the whole movie on what was real and what wasn't, and you can't find out for certain. That I thought was really cool.
It's such an it's just it's an entrancing movie.
Mhm. Yeah. Anyway,
Oh, it's
Black Swan,
it's great. Black Swan.
especially for the Halloween season.
I mean, I could have picked a
Yes.
more like generic horror movie for the Halloween season.
Like, I've seen half the horror movies on Netflix. I don't need any more.
Yeah.
Look, the fact, look, take it this way: the fact this wasn't a generic horror movie played significantly in his favor for me.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Halloween, the best season of the year to be a weird vagrant stalking the streets. This Halloween, a movie came out, a movie that apparently both me and Nick watched. I'm talking about the FNAF movie.
Yeah, I watched it.
What'd you think?
I found it very disappointing. But I'm not
Elaborate.
surprised. I'm not surprised that it's disappointing. I mean, I saw the trailer. It didn't look great, but I was expecting for it to be like dumb, campy fun. It isn't.
Mhm.
It's not a horror movie in this. It's barely a PG-13 movie. It's practically
Mhm.
PG. It has a
Yeah.
really dumb story that almost feels like Heavy Rain for some reason.
Is that the one with the where they call him the origami killer?
Yeah.
I've seen some videos online.
Yeah.
We gotta stop the origami killer.
It is a 2 out of 10 movie for me.
Hmm. All right. I'm gonna
What do you think of
go over
it?
my thoughts. First off, Aiden, if you're listening to this, spoiler alert. Anyway, I was absurdly disappointed. Now I'll admit, I'm a bit biased against this because the theater me and my sister went to had a 27 minutes of trailers beforehand,
Damn.
almost all of them horrendous. So even by the time the movie started, I
Actually,
was getting ready to
there
throw
was one
myself.
trailer. There was one trailer before when I saw it that was actually scary. It was a
Please tell
movie
me you're not
called
talking about Marco,
it was called a Night Swim.
the Marco Polo one.
Yeah, that one looked actually terrifying. Well, I don't think the movie
Hmm.
will be terrifying, but I think they edited the trailer well enough where it actually seems terrifying.
Keeping my lips sealed on that one because I basically had to sit through 20 minutes of ads just to listen to some
Yeah,
woman saying Marco, Marco for 2 minutes. So maybe it'll be great. Maybe I'm biased. I am. Who am I kidding?
you're biased.
Yes, and I admit that. I like that. Unlike everyone else who pretends they aren't. Anyway, we get to the movie, and already it takes 45 minutes after the movie starts for them to actually get into the. No, sorry. First 5 minutes, they have the animatronics killing one guard. That's fine. Uh, but then after that, you spend 45 minutes outside of the restaurant with stuff that doesn't have to deal with the animatronics. And then when you get to the
Yeah,
restaurant, like another 30 minutes till they kill another person. And if I could talk for like an hour on all the things I took problem with through the movie, since I'm a very picky person, but I'll try and keep this down. First off, the main character, Mike, he's the actor from the Hunger Games.
He
Uno,
sucks.
very boring. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you've seen Ryan Gosling in Blade Runner, the newer one,
Oh
but
yeah,
in
Blade.
that
I
one,
love that's a great movie.
oh, well, the thing I noticed in that, me and my sister, was Gosling doesn't really change his expression ever, no matter what's happening. No matter how much things start getting insane around him, he's got the same "I'm about to shit myself" face.
I don't care. I love it. It's a great movie.
Not saying that one's bad, but anyway, essentially, Mike had his brother got kidnapped by the purple guy, the serial killer. So he's basically after his parents murk themselves for some reason. He's taking care of his sister. He's in a mall, and there's this the worst scene in the beginning. This kid is standing around looking sad, confused, lost. There's the dad. The dad runs past, grabs the kid, lifts him up, and keeps running. And when Mike, a uniformed
It's Heavy
security
Rain.
officer, yeah, when the uniformed security officer orders him to stop, he doesn't. Mike, understandably, thinks he's kidnapping the child, tackles the guy, and punches him. But the movie then treats it like it was actually just the dad. And even though he was acting exactly like a child predator and refusing to obey a security officer, Mike was in the wrong. Bullshit. You try that at Menards or any other store or mall, you're going to get your ass kicked if people think you're kidnapping a child and you don't answer when people ask you what's going on.
Yeah.
Sorry, that one scene just really irritated the hell out of me.
There's a lot
Anyway,
of things in this movie that you could really go on about.
we then flash forward to the most annoying job salesman in the world, who takes about 90 words to what could have been said in one. Fazbear's needs guard. Job bad. Here. He goes there. He sleeps. Nothing happens. Then, over the course of the movie, he meets Vanessa, the furry self insert from the awful new FNAF games, who's a police officer. Who, and then they have the animatronics, and you come across their idiot aunt, who for some reason wants to kidnap his sister, but in
That
order
was
to get
that
the check for
honestly
money.
that was the worst part of the movie. I really hated
I,
that.
I, I cringed when they had the Matt Pat cameo. I'm not
Oh, that
opposed to
is.
that, but the way they executed it was painful.
Oh, it was really funny, not in a good way.
Yeah. And her plan essentially is she's going to murder Mike for $2,000 in order to get kid who she'll have to take care of in order to get the check, in order to get extra money. So she's essentially spending money to lose money. And I don't know what this idiot's thinking, but her logic essentially is I'll make like $100 extra a month, which is apparently worth murdering your own nephew over. Anyway, so when the people start dying at this place with the animatronics, the number one problem I had story wise is they made the animatronics complete psychopaths. You know the basics of the story of FNAF, right?
Worse.
Yes?
Worse, yeah.
Yeah, well, in the games, you learn they're children stuffed in the animatronic suits. The reason
Yep.
they want to kill you is because you're in a uniform of the guy who murdered them. It
Yep.
makes complete sense, and you feel sorry for the kids.
It
In
makes
this
sense.
one, yeah, in the movie, however, they kill the security guards, which is understandable. But then the kids also kill a bunch of random muggers who were breaking up the place, which, fine, they were trashing the place. Then they apparently have been killing way more people. And then they want to specifically bring Mike's sister. They want to take her and stuff her inside an animatronic. They know she's a kid, but they're going to do it anyway, which makes you don't sympathize with these kids because what happened to them is awful, but they are psychos. And then it turns out the funny man, William Afton, he murdered them, but he also is Vanessa's dad for some reason and also controls them somehow. You know how, Nick?
Oh,
With a drawing on the wall of a yellow rabbit.
yeah. A
And
whole
when Mike's
wall of
idiot
drawings.
sister and when Mike's idiot sister takes the drawing, rips it down, and puts one which is like a stick figure made in yellow of him murdering them, they immediately realize he murdered us. They stab him like once and drag him off to the closet, and then he just dies. The end.
It's really bad.
That yeah, that was the
Matthew
amazing.
Lillard is the best. Matthew Lillard's the best part of the movie, and he doesn't even save it.
He's is he William Afton?
Yeah.
Fun fact: he was Shaggy in this live-action
Yep.
Scooby Doo movies.
Yep. I know. He was also Ghostface in Scream.
Uh, I did not see that coming. Scooby Doo connection. That 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 just confused me a lot. But and is there any parts of the movie you thought were good?
I like the animatronics look really good, especially since they were real animatronics and they weren't CGI.
Yeah. Well,
That's it.
I have a wee,
That is all I
I
have
have a
to say
wee
about
bit of a,
that.
I have a wee bit of a conspiracy theory here, my friend.
Oh God.
No, it's not on how the Earth's actually a cube, but it has to do with the animatronics. I think, other than studio idiocy, which is played a part, I think the main reason why this film's horror was so lame was because of the physical animatronics. The reason I think that is because when you, when I was watching the movie, I noticed they barely show these things on screen. In the parts they are on screen, either the big animatronics don't really move that much in one shot. They just will move, walk back and forth, or fall over. The only one they really use a lot to move is the cupcake, which is small
That's
and has
CGI.
no way to
That is.
move. Yeah, which I thought was idiotic because that thing had no way to move. But I, my conspiracy theory here, my tinfoil hat theory, is that while the animatronics look great, they spent a lot of money on them, and they really couldn't move them a lot without the whole CGI to show them actually attacking people, or moving around, or besieging the office like in the game. So you have to pump in a bunch of other bullshit that has nothing to do with the game, because otherwise you're going to spend more time with the animatronics, and people are going to realize those aren't really moving like much at all. That's my theory.
I never thought. Yeah, I never thought about that. That actually does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and not helped by the fact the tone of this movie is schizophrenic to say the best. Not it's supposed to be a horror movie, allegedly,
It's not.
but
It's not a
there's
horror movie.
literally a 20-minute segment where they'll have them building a pillow fort with the animatronics and Mike's idiot sister, who behaves like a complete lobotomite in every scene she's in. She sees these giant animatronics moving around, and her first instinct is kill them instead of running away scared. I don't understand this with horror movies. I've worked with a lot of kids. A lot of them are dumb, but kids are scared of a lot of things because that's as cavemen, that's how kids survive. Why is
Yeah.
every kid in horror movies lobotomized? They have no sense of fear. Opposite, no, they run towards it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't have
So
anything else to say about the movie. It's bad.
anyway, I'd rate it a 1 out of 10, and
I'll give it a
it may have
two,
gotten.
just to be generous.
I would have given it a 2 out of 10, except for when I was leaving. Me and my sister were leaving the theater. There was this guy in a FNAF shirt with a black baseball hat, who was standing at the top of the ramp looking at everyone. And I swear to God, you've seen people who have the dead-eyed stare, right? This
Yeah.
guy, the best way I can say it is he had the suicide bomber stare. Like the look of deadness and hatred in the guy's eyes. He looked like he was planning on blowing the place up. We hurried out of there.
You
Anyway,
know
but
what?
the FNAF
When I
movie,
saw when I saw the movie, I saw it all alone. There was nobody in my theater.
yeah, that wasn't quite the case at our theater. It was packed, and the people there, let's just say Crazy Guy wasn't the only one there.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
stories.
Mhm. So that was our FNAF segment for now. Aiden,
Yeah.
you can open your ears again. All right. Yeah, there. I also saw some other trailers, which I don't know if you've seen. The Thanksgiving trailer.
I've seen the Thanksgiving one.
Yeah. What'd you think of that trailer?
I'm not watching that. That's gonna be on Netflix in about a year, and everyone will forget about it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't
Once
know what this
again.
beekeeper is one. Oh,
Oh, it's an action movie, which is just basically John Wick if he was a beekeeper. There's this one bald guy. I think he would. I think his last name is Stratham.
oh,
Strahm.
Jason Statham.
Yeah, he might have been
Okay,
the guy in the Meg
yeah, that's
Bloodshot.
him. Yeah, that's him.
All right. Now, granted,
Also
I
Crank.
like him as what?
Also Crank. He was in.
Hmm. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, but I think he's a good actor. But the beekeeper, essentially, Nick, there's a beekeeper, and he's
Okay.
living at this old black woman's estate. She has bees. He beekeeps them. She she thanks him, but then on the computer she clicks a virus. She somehow loses all her money. And the next second, after she clicks and loses her money, she just reaches over calmly with her left hand towards the loaded handgun next to her. And then she's just dead. It's gruesome, but the way they shoot it, it's literally like 1 second after she realizes her money's gone, she just goes for the gun to off herself,
Damn,
which is just weird.
that goes hard.
Anyway, the beekeeper, he goes to this one random Zoomer's mega hacking location, which is it's like the YouTube headquarters for Mr. Beast, is the best way I can explain it.
Okay.
He commits arson there, and then the whole rest of the movie is essentially him going on about how there's this random guy who tells this lady, there's beekeepers. During the Cold War, they had the beekeeper program. Beekeepers kept order in the hive against the pieces trying to cause chaos. They try to make this sound as epic as possible because they're just ripping off the universe idea of John Wick with the assassins, but they're trying to make it around bees. And they think it'll be cool. The movie's not shot badly from the trailer, but it's kind of like if I made a trailer about Joseph the janitor. They train janitors in Nam to kill people using their brooms. Like, unless you play the
Uh,
comedy up to 11, it's just not going to work. I don't think it's going to be a bad movie, but someone needed to tell them in production just how ridiculous it sounds.
yeah, I guess my theater never showed it.
Yeah. Anyway,
Interesting.
next up,
You want to
Aquaman
talk about
2.
Killers of the Flower Moon?
Oh, where is that?
At the bottom, towards the bottom of the list.
All right. Yeah. Killers of the Flower Moon.
'Cause I
You
saw
lead
that.
off. How was it?
Um, Very long.
Isn't
Um,
it like almost 3 hours?
it's 3.5 hours.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
listen,
sounds
listen.
painful.
It's a it's interesting. It's an interesting movie. Um, It's Martin Scorsese doing what he does best, except he's getting a little bit more looser with his movies, which I'm not a big fan of, but um it's a good story, but it just overstayed its welcome. That is the best way I can describe it.
Hmm. What is the story of that?
So it's about this it's about this tribe where some of their members get killed, and then it just kind of starts it just becomes a crime movie. I'm trying to figure out who did it. But it's here's the thing though, this murder, this crime doesn't happen until like an hour and a half into the movie.
Hmm.
So I would never ever watch it again, but I'm glad I watched it once.
Hmm.
That's all I have to say about it. Did you see it?
All right. No, my parents and grandma want to see it, but thankfully, according to them, they're not going to force me to see it with them because I cannot sit in the movie theater for 3.5 hours.
That's fair. I fell asleep actually during like the first hour.
All right.
Which I've
Like the
never
only
done
movies,
at any movie.
yeah, like the only movies I would ever consider that for a theater is like if they make the next trilogy that's like Lord of the Rings in terms of quality. That's the only exception I'd make. Otherwise, no deal.
Mm, yeah. All right. What do you want to talk about next?
All right. We've seen Aquaman 2 coming out.
Okay. I mean, I have zero interest in any of that.
I don't blame you. But basically, the trailer comes out, and essentially, there you have Aquaman, who's king of Atlantis, has a kid, and apparently, I don't know for certain if Amber Heard's going to be in this movie, but she's super powered practically. She caused the film to careen off schedule by about 2 years. So good on her for that amazing superpower of hers. Anyway, it's essentially you got the Black Manta. He's got this kingdom of the trench, all these screwed up people from Atlantis, and he has this magic trident he's using to kill off the Atlanteans, and Aquaman has to stop him with his quirky brother, who the actor they used to replace his brother isn't even blonde, which is kind of strange since his brother in the first movie was like the blondest person to have ever lived. If you've ever seen that one.
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, Aquaman. All right, this is a bit awkward then. Well, Aquaman 1 was okay. Not amazing, but okay.
Like I just said, Duncan, I've never seen I have zero care in anything like this. I did see the trailer because they played it before both no, it was just Five Nights at Freddy's, they played it before. And all
All
I
right.
just thought was it is certainly a movie trailer.
Yeah. I don't know if I will see it or not, mainly because the villain of the movie is Black Manta for some reason. And for some, in the comics, Black Manta's helmet's pretty thin. But for some reason, they decided to, in the live action movies, to make his helmet look like some bulbous abomination. So he looks like some stupid Power Rangers villain. I just can't take him seriously when he looks like that. Have you seen him?
I don't remember, but I I take your word for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I will really see it. The one thing I will say that's positive about the trailer is that the world building in the first movie wasn't the greatest, and I don't really think it's going to be that intelligent in this one either. But the
Didn't it
designs
bomb?
for
Didn't the
the
first one bomb?
no, it was that movie is the only reason why the DC universe wasn't rebooted. The DC
Hmm,
movies. It was a huge success, which is really weird, but
interesting.
yeah, the world building writing wasn't very good for the first one at all. But in the second one, the the just the art style for it looks really good. Like they have these weird mechanized laser firing octopus tripods on bridges battling Atlantean
The
troops
War
with
of the
laser
Worlds.
guns. Yeah, like also fighting off these like zombie Atlanteans in the middle of an ocean storm. So I think it'll at the very least look good. Except for Black Manta, he's still gonna look ass, but other than that, anyway,
Did you
that's my
see that
thoughts.
he? Did you see that a live action Legend of Zelda movie is coming out? Like it was just announced today.
No,
Nintendo
what?
announced it today.
Fuck's sake. Can you give me
Um,
some of the deets?
yeah, so they're in. There's no year yet, but it is a live action Legend of Zelda movie that's going to be made by Sony, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
But it is going to be directed by. Let me get the name of this guy because he's not a big director. In fact, I was looking into it, and like the only movies he's directed are the Maze Runner movies. Um, Wes Ball is his name,
What an amazing
but he
name.
but he directed the Maze Runner movies. The writer wrote one of the Jurassic World movies. I can't think of which one it was. I need to find the article. Uh, Miyamoto's producing, because of course.
Who's
Where
Miyamoto?
is the writer? I cannot find the writer.
Hmm.
I know I saw it. Um, it's written by a guy named Derek Conley who wrote. It just lists Jurassic World.
Oh, that's a great sign.
That is a great sign. I'm curious though, is it just the first Jurassic World, or is it also the other ones?
I don't know.
Because I haven't seen the first Jurassic World. I've only seen Fallen Kingdom.
It's like Jurassic Park without any of the intelligence.
I mean, I was never gonna watch it.
I don't blame you.
Um, oh, he did write Fallen Kingdom and Dominion.
Oh, that is not good at all.
Uh
Those movies
oh.
were dumb.
Uh oh.
And I'm going to be
Um,
honest with you. I'm really on against Nintendo over the past few months because they've been very idiotic with how they've been handling like everything in their franchises. And this does not inspire me with confidence. The fact that they let the guy who directed the woman, I don't know, the redheaded chick in Jurassic World who opened the T Rex pen with a flare and ran away from it in high heels. She's luring the T Rex in that movie with high heels. He wrote that scene, the one that everyone and their mother made fun of back when the movie was released. And he's the one they put in charge of this. Do you know anything
um,
about The Legend of Zelda?
I don't. I'm what?
Like the story, how it usually goes down?
I mean, kind of. Not particularly, but I've played. I've played some of the games. I've never beaten any of them.
Yeah, I'm not a big Zelda guy, but I'm not sure how they're gonna do the story for this one because
Well, I think
they've basically been
I think what worries me the most about this movie is that it's gonna be made by Sony. Sony makes cheap movies.
uh-huh.
They made that
They don't
Uncharted
exactly
movie.
make. Oh yeah, I saw that with Tom Holland.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, and it has the exact same ending of every treasure hunt movie, which is you watch 2 hours of someone searching for the treasure, only for the end of the movie to be the treasure got destroyed and friendship was achieved, which just annoyed the hell out of me even as a kid. But it's not got that trope hasn't gotten better with age.
Okay, so apparently one of the
Yeah.
producers for this movie all produced the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, Iron Man, Venom, and Into the Spider-Verse.
All right. So the plot thickens apparently.
That's interesting because that's like very different from The Legend of Zelda.
Uh, we have one writer here who's completely brain dead and one who actually knows how to do their job. I have a feeling this script's going to be a bit jumbled up.
I don't yeah, there's no date as to when this is coming out. Um, but I will be very curious as to how it'll turn out.
Yay! Yeah, me, I just love Nintendo's doing this. Like how the newest Splatoon is just a literal copy of the previous one, which was a copy of the previous one. You know, how Mario is just a copy of Mario, the previous ones, but he's an elephant now. How
Super Mario
all the
Wonder
characters.
looked fun. I haven't bought it, but it looked fun.
Look, Nick, it, my problem with Nintendo right now is all of their games right now are either getting worse or staying the same in terms of quality, which is not a good sign. They're copying a lot from previous games. Like Tears of the Kingdom was atrocious, where over half the map was just copied from the previous game. But because they
Mm.
added some Sky Islands, we can sell that. And no one held them to account for that. And they're writing on a lot of games, especially the Fire Emblem ones, which may just be me, but has been it's nosedived off a cliff.
I
And
think
now
you're
they
the only
keep
one that
doing
plays.
things like
You're the only one that plays those games.
no, there's several million people who plays them. I'm just the only one talking
I
about
don't
it right
believe it.
now.
I don't believe it. They don't exist.
Yeah. Look at the sales numbers for Fire Emblem Awakening, you troglodyte.
Don't believe that.
Okay, so now you're the one with the tinfoil hat. Welcome to the
I don't
club,
believe
brother.
it. Fire
Well,
Emblem doesn't exist.
it does. What the hell
I
have I
don't
been
believe
playing the
it.
past few? What the hell have I been playing the past 2 years if it doesn't exist?
Generic anime.
No. The good Fire Emblem games are not generic anime. They're smart. Just
Eh,
the writers Nintendo has put in charge have gotten more and more challenged as the years have gone by. So anyway, I can only wait with dread as we wait to see what else Nintendo decides to do. I
I mean, they're
can't wait.
releasing. They're doing a remake to Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Okay,
That makes me excited.
and all right, I just played like halfway through Sticker Star, so
Well, that's the worst one in the series. So
I
that that is on
I don't
you.
know. It's hey, first off, I enjoyed that game, so I got completely stuck and could not advance even to this day. I still have the
Where'd you
game. I
get
just got
stuck?
no idea how to. I don't know. It was like I think halfway through the plot. But yeah, I definitely don't think having the children finding what kind of sticker to use for progression was a good idea when you have
Yeah,
that big a world.
I don't know what they were thinking with that game. It's there's so much backtracking in that game.
Yes. But Nick, my
It's
second point,
it's awful.
what is that Paper Mario game fundamentally? The one they're now making? A remake.
It's a Yep, it's a
Which
remake of the GameCube game, which is the best game in the series, and fans have been wanting a remake of it for the past like 10 years.
yes, Nick, but I'm not saying that in isolation is a good thing. But what I'm saying is I'm worried that all their games now, they're either getting worse or staying the same in quality. And right now you're telling me, oh, they're making a copy of one of their games from the past.
I mean,
It,
I
it just
totally
makes
get your reason. I totally get your reasoning. They have been doing that, and some of their practices, especially with updates, have been really stupid.
Mhm. Don't worry. No matter how bad Nintendo is with updates, they can't be as
but
bad as From Software.
but they're not the only company that does remakes or does like remasters of their games. Like every company does it. So it
Look,
isn't like
Nick,
just a Nintendo thing.
look, Nick, let me put it this way. If you're worried that almost everyone drinks alcohol unless you're like Muslim or something. If you know a friend who you're worried is going to slide into alcoholism, and you hear them saying, I got this cool new big keg of beer from the store, is that going to help you? Is that going to ease your thoughts? It's sure, maybe they're just drinking. Like,
I don't even know what this comparison is.
well, plenty of studios make video game remakes, and that's fine. But I'm worried Nintendo is just making games of the exact same quality by copying the story elements, gameplay
Mhm.
mechanics, like especially
Mhm.
with Splatoon. And now you're telling me, oh, they're making a remake of their old game. That to me, that seems to fall into the whole category of makes. If we can't make a game that's similar to an old one, we'll just remake it. Which, hey, it
Yeah,
might be great.
I mean, there is a plus side of remakes sometimes where, like, if you are doing like a 30-year-old game or a 20-year-old game, it is a new audience that would have probably never played it before.
I know, but my concern is why is it Nintendo's new games right now, unless it's almost entirely based off an older game, why is it's almost never good right now? Like,
I don't
what
know.
is going on in Nintendo is my question. Especially since a lot of people have very rose-tinted glasses towards them, because Sony and Xbox are admittedly not very good at their jobs. But I feel like Nintendo's been let off the hook for a while.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's fair.
sorry, that's
They
just
have
my
been
thoughts.
they have been making Metroid Prime 4 for the past like 10 years.
Yes, but at least they released it and it was a new game.
No, they haven't. They
Like,
still haven't released it.
wait, what was Metroid Dread then?
That was a 2D sequel. Metroid Prime is the first person shooter ones.
Oh, all right, I stand corrected on that one, but still.
It's kind of like two separate series of Metroid.
Mhm. All right, that's my Nintendo worries out of the way.
Anyway,
Uh,
um, Wonka.
oh yeah, they made another trailer with Willy Wonka with the kid there, where
Yeah, I
they
don't want
have
that
this
movie to
tiny.
exist.
Neither do I. That guy from
Listen,
Dune.
listen. They should not have made another one after the Gene Wilder one.
Uh, listen, listen. I actually enjoyed the remake better than the original.
No, no, you didn't. Stop gaslighting
I
yourself.
did. I'm not gaslighting myself. I think it was well. I think it
You're
was.
gaslighting yourself
It wasn't as boring as the first one.
because
There, I
it
said it.
the first one is not boring at all. Um,
I little
the
me
second one
found it,
is just CGI mess.
but I liked the mess.
Johnny Depp does not work as a Willy Wonka.
Johnny Depp really has that psycho stare. So
They should have
I
done
think it
is they
went
should
well.
have gone with their original plan, which was to have Michael Jackson as Willy Wonka. Now that would be a great movie.
I think that caused some confusion, especially nowadays.
Did you know that Michael Jackson created a full soundtrack for it?
He did?
He did, and it's never been released.
Why not? That sounds like free money.
Well, because he wasn't the lead in the movie because they went with Johnny Depp instead. But he made
Yeah,
a
but
full soundtrack when it was originally going to be with Michael Jackson.
yeah, but I don't know. You kind of think the film studio would be able to smell the opportunity here?
Well, here's the thing: Warner Brothers wanted, you know, when Michael Jackson presented it to Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers did want it. It was Michael Jackson that wouldn't give it to them because they went with Johnny Depp instead.
Hmm, interesting.
I would be very curious to see what that sounds like
Yeah,
because I'm
you
sure
know
it'd be
what?
better than Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka.
I don't know. He really does have like that kind of emotionally dead
He is
side.
a terrible Willy Wonka.
He has that kind of psycho, emotionally dead side at uh,
I don't care.
demeanor that Willy Wonka actually would have.
Gene Wilder was great
And
as Willy Wonka. I will defend him for I guess.
well, to be honest, this new kid they have playing him, who also played Paul Atreides in what was it, Dune? Part of the reason he did a very good job in that movie, in my opinion at least, is because the kid looks and acts a bit weird, which is how the actual character is supposed to be. But as Wonka, he's just kind of pulling that whole psycho card again. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Why
I'm
is it every
not watching.
actor who plays
I'm not gonna watch this movie.
why is it every character who plays Willy Wonka acts psycho? Is that just how the character is?
I think it's supposed to be like this like deep rooted like evil character that isn't really revealed.
You're saying
Like what?
Wonka was the
Like
real villain.
like why not turn like make it if you want to make an actual like Willy Wonka sequel, why not just make it like an American Psycho movie?
All
Like that'd
right,
be
that
it.
I'd want to see.
That'd be amazing.
Just
And it
have
would
Christian
fit.
Bale.
And it would fit too.
Have Christian Bale play Willy Wonka. That's the movie I want to see.
That would be good. Also release the Michael
It'll,
Jackson cut of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
it would also explain why the theory of Willy Wonka using the children to bake into his stuff.
Yeah.
Because with the Augustus Gloop, they just let him into the chocolate vats, and the theory is they juiced him for his blood to use in the chocolate, and that's the secret behind it. Children.
These two Wonka movies are making me sad. Let's talk about something else. What is this Candy Cane Lane?
Oh,
Tell
well,
me
to do
about it.
these movie lists, all right, essentially, I was looking up tonight movie trailers, and one of them was for a movie called Candy Cane Lane Land with Eddie Murphy. Kind of a comedy movie about this one black family, I think in America. Essentially, the
Okay, I
dad really
did.
likes
Okay, I was
Christmas.
you know when you put that down, I was expecting it to be a horror movie.
It's not really much of a horror movie. Essentially, the dad's this big guy about Christmas, and I don't know, the writing they have with the family just made them actually likable and quirky. Which, to be honest, most shows nowadays makes me hate characters. So that was impressive. But basically, they go to this one store to prepare, and this one lady is like, "Oh, you know, if you sign this contract, you can get any wish you want. Just ignore the fine print." And he wishes for the best Christmas ever. And unfortunately for him, the best Christmas ever is the most Christmassy Christmas ever, which is a bit of a hassle to deal with. Like there's a basically all that Santa magic, you get that whether you want it or not. Not that he's becoming Santa, more so it's like, oh, a bunch of geese just erupted out of, I think, either a package or the fireplace. It's all this family has to deal with all these shenanigans and survive through them. It was weird because I know that this trailer, from the sounds of it, seems a bit rambly, but it was actually a very charming trailer, which I kind of came out of nowhere, so I thought I'd mention it.
This looks very forgettable.
Maybe it is, but I just thought I'd
It
mention
looks
it.
like a Hallmark. It looks like a Hallmark movie.
Honestly, it probably is, but it made a trailer that I wasn't annoyed by, which is a very rare breed nowadays. So
Okay.
anyway,
Like I said, when you that looked like a horror movie title, so I'm kind of disappointed.
Well, look, I won't lie to you. I thought that too at first, but I think it's more like a family comedy. But
Oh, that's unfortunate.
of course, Nick wanted them to be bled. Not a good movie if it for Nick if it isn't
It
3 hours
could
long.
have been.
Psychological. He needed it to be a 3 hour psychological horror movie directed by Martin Scorsese.
I don't like 3 hour movies. Why is that like this theme now?
I don't know. I'm really sick of stupidly long movies right now.
I think
Like,
2 hours is the perfect length.
yeah. To be honest with you, unless a movie is like The Lord of the Rings, it has no real business being 3 hours long in most cases. And at that point, when you get to the 3.5 hour mark, you might as well just make it like a mini series on streaming, or just shorten it down a bit.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Because I'll be honest, when I go into movies like the FNAF movie, one of the few things I'm thinking in there is this could have been trimmed down by like an hour, 2 hours, and it would have been way better. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Hmm. Trying
so
to see. Honestly, none of these movies really interests me that much. Like I've never seen The Hunger Games ever.
any of them?
No.
Huh. I mean, the first one's actually
Um,
pretty good. The others,
yeah,
not so much.
I've seen the trailer for Napoleon. I'm not watching it.
Napoleon is not a movie. Napoleon is like a trilogy. And I got,
It looks so boring.
well, to be honest with you, uh, trilogy on Napoleon could be amazing. The problem is Napoleon's life is so trilogy centric. I know I'm being a bit weird here, but essentially there was so much shit that happened in his life that trying to condense the entire thing down into like one movie is either going to be a 3 hour bloat fest or it's going to skip over most of it.
I think it is like three
Unless the
hours.
film,
Let me look it up. You know what? I was just thinking. I think a movie you'd really like is like Barry Lyndon.
that about
It's a Kubrick movie, but it isn't like a real historical movie, but it's about almost like a fictional historic war movie.
kind of like the
Anyway,
Great Martian War.
I don't know what that is.
It's an alternate history documentary where the events of the movie, sorry, the audio broadcast War of the Worlds happens in 1913. So it's about how the Allies had to work together to stop the Martian invasion of Earth. And it's filmed like an actual documentary. It's actually very well made.
I've never
And
heard
the
of it. That
Martians, and
sounds interesting.
it's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's like an hour and 30 minutes. It's and the alien design especially is extremely good. Like they make you. It's like the also the one thing that was really good with the modern day Worlds movie with Tom Cruise, in which they actually make you fear the aliens. So
Anyway, Napoleon is 2.5 hours long.
that is way too
So that's
short.
short.
So to be clear, they're going to have to cover his childhood, the French Revolution, and all that stuff, his rise to power, him being emperor, all the invasions, getting exiled, returning, the final war, and dying alone in 2.5 hours. That ain't gonna work.
I don't know. I
That would be
mean,
like if yes,
let's see. I thought I read somewhere that it's like not completely accurate to his life. Like there was like
Oh,
creative
yeah.
liberties that were taken.
I yeah.
Oh
People
wait,
now
wait,
think
hold on. On there after the theatrical release, there will be a 4.5 hour director's cut that will be
fuck.
released on
This is
streaming.
this is exactly what I said. Why not just make this a miniseries then? You can
I don't know.
extend it a bit
Well, actually,
because
I
that
know.
way you.
Actually, I know why. I know why they do it. It's because they want to get Oscars.
Oh, oh, that actually does make sense.
Yeah,
This is just Oscar bait, essentially.
the Oscar bait. I mean, if you want to watch like a 4.5 hour version of it, I mean, it will exist. But to get awards, they got to put something in theaters, and obviously, no one's going to see a
I don't,
4.5 movie in theaters.
small part of me wonders what would happen if the 4.5 hour version in theaters actually went ridiculously successful. Would they
It
just
would
get
be
even worse at
shocking.
making long movies?
Who is
I'm not
see? Well,
saying
first
it
of
will
all,
happen.
who's seeing a movie about Napoleon? Come on.
Unfortunately, very few people. I'm saying they're already getting worse when it comes to long movies. What would happen if the most successful movie of the year, let's say, is a 4.5 hour movie? Would we just get like 4.5 hour movies as a norm then?
It's terrifying.
All right. Dang, I don't want to root against this movie because I want people to be interested in history and be nerds like me, but at the same time, arts like that just make me kind of dread this,
Yeah, that's fair.
especially when they're talking about creative liberties. It's like people are dumb enough when it comes to history. They don't need anything dumber in it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's not like advertised as like historically accurate.
Yeah, but is anyone, the common person who watches it, is they going to think any different?
No,
Because when most people say see based on true events, Nick, they just think true.
I know,
They- like, have you seen
and
the
it's and
movie
it,
Apocalypto?
I haven't. But what I was gonna say is Fargo has that at the beginning, and absolutely nothing about that movie is true.
Mhm. Yeah. What I was going to say is Apocalypto is a movie about very similar about how the Mayan civilization collapsed. And it's actually pretty faithful. It says the whole based off true events right up until the end. And the end of the movie shows the conquistadors invading, and then it ends. And that whole based off true events thing, you remember?
Yeah.
Spain wouldn't even be reunified as a kingdom for several hundred years after that. This is the modern day equivalent of having a movie where you say based off true events for the American Revolution, and the final shot of the movie is of American GIs from D-Day killing all the British redcoats. Like it's that dumb. So it's got
That's
me a wee
funny.
bit concerned. But my sister talks about her own history teacher, and he's insane. Like, just blatantly, he went on a rant on water, and he basically claimed that water was a conspiracy by the government because all the kids were drinking water from their water bottles, and he got annoyed by that. So all of a sudden, he started claiming you don't really need that much water to live, and that they're just not going to be allowed to bring their water bottles into classroom anymore, and that the only reason you think you need as much water as you need is because of the water industry, not the water bottle industry, the water industry.
A water industry.
Yes, and to top it all off, he also thinks that Rome and Carthage were allies. He says that because Oxford told him. Do you know about the Punic Wars?
No.
Let me put it this way. Roman Carthage killed up to 1.2 to 1.8 million people trying to murder each other, and it ended with Rome genociding the entire city of Carthage. And according to her teacher, that they were allies because Oxford says. That's why I really don't like it when movies do this whole based off true events because people always take it as just true. So,
Yeah.
though I am glad to hear that we don't actually need water to live, Nick. It was all just a government conspiracy from the water industry.
The water industry.
How do you not fire a teacher after he says something that shit? I just don't get it.
Uh,
What kind of schizo rant do you have to go on in class in order to get fired nowadays? The air industry is a myth, people. You don't need air. Stop breathing, Timmy. You don't need to breathe. Everyone's leaving their oxygen at the door or else.
hey.
Sorry, I had a bit of a schizoid moment there. Anyway, what next?
What else is there to talk about?
You've seen the amazing digital circus.
I don't know what you're referring to.
It's a pilot for a new animated series on YouTube that went viral. About a
Never
bunch of
heard of it.
humans. Well, it's gotten like 30 million views in the past week.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's just a bunch of humans are trapped in this computer game, The Amazing Digital Circus, ran by an AI showrunner called Kane. This new lady Pomni shows up. She ends up trapped in there with everyone else. And it's about trying not to go crazy in there and the whole world. It's very well done. So I have to say the animation is a bit too TikTok for me, as in something new and colorful has to happen every few seconds. Other than that, I'd recommend giving it a check out on YouTube. It's about 23 minutes long. It was decently fun.
This looks like a fever dream.
It is. I think you might like it then.
I don't know.
Hey, Nick, you made
If
me watch Black Swan. So if anything I've learned is that movies being a fever dreams to you is not a problem.
it has to be a good fever dream.
Just have the giant conspiracy board from The Office with Nick there saying, oh, bad dream, good dream. Has to be a good fever dream, man.
What else we got?
All right.
I don't really want to talk. I really want to go one episode without talking about Disney.
Aw,
We talk
they're
about it
shooting them.
every time.
Okay. I just thought, since they're shooting themselves in the face so well,
I know, but we report on it every time.
it's like our thing. It's what the
I know what
subscribers
it,
want.
I know it's our thing, but
Nick, all
I
of our
think
subscribers will be so disappointed if we don't cover it.
listen. They always shoot themselves in the foot. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
It's
Honestly, I
Godzilla
don't
minus
understand.
one.
Well, I'm really confused on this. It's a Godzilla movie made by the Japanese called Godzilla Minus One. I may
What
be
does that
sounding
even
a bit
mean?
no duh. I don't know. I think it's supposed to be like a Godzilla prequel to the ones they made recently, like Godzilla, Kong, Godzilla versus Kong, those movies, which I think is
Yeah,
a safe bet. But in the Godzilla movie that I think this is a prequel to, no one knew Godzilla existed until he showed up in that movie. So if this is a prequel, do you mean to tell me he like nuked half of Japan and then they just shrugged and forgot? I don't know.
Okay,
It
so these okay, so the Godzilla minus one has it's based on the Japanese series of Godzilla movies, not the English ones.
uh,
Because there's a whole line of Toho Godzilla movies that don't come out in the US.
uh.
So it's basically a sequel to one of the Godzilla movies in the series.
So it's a sequel to a movie they haven't released in the West.
Right. Because this movie's not gonna release in the West either.
And why are we getting trailers for it? Because that was one of the trailers for before the
I'm not
FNAF.
seeing a release date for America, so it I don't know then.
Did they just have money to burn or something? Because I know for a fact they put a trailer out on the FNAF movie.
I didn't see a Godzilla trailers.
Well, at our
Um,
theater at least, they had that there.
so it just came out like a week ago in Japan.
Maybe they're releasing it later. Not really helped by the fact every
Maybe
trailer I've seen is like 15 seconds maximum.
I've never been a big fan of the Godzilla movies.
Hmm.
Like I'd rather watch Cloverfield.
Oh, you're a fan of Cloverfield.
I do really like Cloverfield.
You do?
I like, except for the first 20 minutes of it, I really like the movie.
Oh, me too. I tried to show it to my family. They immediately tried to trash my taste in movies. It's
Well,
too shaky. We can't
to be
see
fair,
anything.
found footage is not everyone's thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
It's just that
understandable.
I don't know. It's just they kind of pull this thing where it's we'll make you watch all these horror movies that bore you to tears. But if your movie is shaky cam, sorry, Duncan, it's trash. All right, it's more of a personal canard. Anyway, okay, other than Gojira, does the Marvels count as being part of Disney or
Uh, I
say
mean,
that?
kind sure, but I mean, I already have nothing to say about it.
Yeah, the main actress for that movie they have is Brie Larson, who is amazing. She is one of the few actors who has the talent in Hollywood to just never act. Not acting. By that I mean this woman holds the exact same facial expression no matter what happens to her in movies or real life. Like her character in a movie could watch her mother's head get ripped off and she'd have the same blank stare. So, I, sorry, it's just more of personal frustration. But to be honest, with that one, just in short, they've had to reshoot that movie 2 or 3 times. So that, and this is modern day Marvel's luck. So they're not going to make back the budget with this. This is going to bomb. And second,
Wait,
they have Brie Larson in there, who I already explained why I'm not a big fan of, but it even more confuses me even more because with the premise of this movie, they added in 2 other Captain Marvels, the younger kid and the other older black lady. And what confuses me is the kid and the older lady can act, but Brie Larson can't. So I wish they would replace Brie Larson with those two because I think it'd be at
mhm,
least not a good movie, but at least that it'd be more charming. You know,
yeah,
those are my thoughts.
okay.
Anyway, I'm when it comes to Marvel right now, I'm not happy to see them dying this way, but it's kind of a necessary one at this point.
I'm glad they're finally dying. It's about time.
Look, I liked a lot of their movies, but at this point, they kind of need the only way Marvel is going to get its crap together is if it has to work to make money. And in order for that to happen, apparently they just need these blows to keep on coming. So, anyway, anything next?
Anything else to talk about?
That's kind of the end of the list. If you have any topics to bring up, I'm all
I
ears.
can't. Hmm. I mean, I've watched a couple movies recently. I rewatched one of the movies from my childhood.
Which one?
I Happy Feet.
You saw that movie?
Apparently, that was like my movie when I was a kid.
I
Um, I
actually,
don't
this
know. I
explains
must
a lot.
really.
Yes, you must have been mentally traumatized by that movie as a kid.
No, I mean,
What's
I
made
must
you
have.
so bitter to the world?
I think the only reason I liked it was just because dancing penguins.
Ah, children.
Children, yeah. It's not a good movie. It's very little story. It's mainly just jukebox musical.
Wow, I
Which
would
don't get me
never have
wrong.
imagined that.
Which don't get me wrong. The music I do like the music in it, but I just don't care.
Any other movies?
Um, what else did I watch recently? I watched a good one recently. I watched There Will Be Blood, which
What's
is
that
after
movie about?
watching. It's kind of a western. It's from like 2007. It's with Daniel Day Lewis. It's fantastic. Um, I think you would really like it. Um,
Oh, I'll have to check that out then.
it's kind of like it's about like the oil business and like like a family business kind of thing.
I think I heard of that
I'm
before,
sure
the
you
movie.
have. I mean, it won a lot of awards.
Hmm.
I also watched Coraline for the first time.
You saw it for the first time?
Yeah,
What'd you think?
it was all right. Um, I think
Hmm.
Nightmare Before Christmas has better animation, but the story is like kind of weird because it's like why does she want to return to her parents even though her parents hate her?
Because she figures out the other mother's going to rip her eyes out
Well,
and turn her
yeah,
into a ghost.
but why not just return to none of them? That's what I don't understand.
You're killing me, Smalls.
That's what. Otherwise, I mean, it's fine. It looks good. Um, that's all I got to say about it.
Hmm. Alrighty then. Well, guess we found another movie we're going to have to correct Nick's opinion on later. Anyway,
We're just
I
making a
haven't been
list at
watching
this
some.
point.
Oh yes, Track, Watchmen, this. Oh, yeah. I have been playing some games though recently. Not as much movies right now.
Yeah,
I mentioned in the last episode I'm playing Liza P, the Dark Souls Pinocchio one.
yeah.
Sounds incredibly dumb, but it's mostly a good game. I'd actually recommend it
Most,
for you since you can get it on Steam.
mostly.
This, yeah, there's just a few problems where I don't. You haven't played Elden Ring, but
No.
Dark Souls games are starting to suffer from what I call anime-itis, which is when
Oh,
the boss you'll face, you'll have an epic attack that chains 20 attacks in a row that are in a split second, and you have to block every one of them. And the attack will go on for 20 seconds, and then you'll hit them once and run away. It'll be like if you fought a Goomba in Mario, but he was going light speed, and you had to jump on him 200 times to kill you. And if he hit you once, you died in one hit. That's the best way I describe it. Anyway, it's been
Interesting.
mostly good, except for the green swamp monster boss, which, oh boy, did that give me a few aneurysms completing that one. The game mostly good. It's just there's the combat system, which is pretty fun. The problem is you often run into these elite enemies in which you can basically parry, dodge, block, or attack them, but a lot of them are way too fast and hit like a train, so you can't block them. They'll knock you over. You can't parry because the window is way too short. You can't attack since they'll plow through you, and you can't dodge since they're too fast, so you end up just trying to cheese them. And now, to be clear, that's not the majority of the enemies. Most of them don't have that problem. In fact, this game's difficulty is a lot better than most Dark Souls games, but that's something that gets worse as this game has gone on, and I haven't completed it yet. So it's what I've been
All right.
playing during this. So there's also I'm playing another Souls like called Code Vein. Don't know if you've ever heard of that one.
I haven't. I
Another
don't
Souls.
really. I've never played any like Souls games.
Yeah, well, Code Vein is like an anime themed Dark Souls where you're in a
Ugh.
post apocalyptic city. Hey, I know this sounds kind of cringe, but trust me, it's way better than you'd expect. Essentially,
You
you're in
know.
this post-apocalyptic. Hey, you're basically this vampire that wakes up in this post-apocalyptic city where this vampiric mutated plague has destroyed like everything, and you get your butt saved from the first few vampires who have essentially gone insane due to lack of blood, and you have to fight through the city, beat all the bosses, go through these areas, and it's actually a really fun game. The main gimmick is that from your group of survivors, you essentially can take one with you on while you're playing through the levels to have a companion through. And each one of them, they have like a lot of lines of unique dialogue on them that actually make them feel like a character to the point in which they don't shut up at some times. So yeah, I'd actually recommend it,
The moment you said anime,
even
I
though
I tuned out.
look, Nick, trust me, it's way better than you think it is.
I don't know.
And clearly, we need to broaden your horizons a bit.
I don't know. Unless it's Studio Ghibli, I don't care.
Hmm, it's rather close minded of you. There's so much more to the world than just Studio Ghibli,
Oh, and Perfect Blue.
not
Perfect Blue
Ghibli.
is a really great movie.
Perfect Blue.
Yep, that's an anime
An
movie.
anime movie?
Yep.
What's the gist
Psycho
of that one?
It is a psychological horror about a stalker stalking a I guess like a pop singer, like a music like a big singer.
Hmm. Is that on Amazon?
Uh I pirated it when I watched it, so I don't know.
You know, Nick, if you commit a criminal offense, you shouldn't really admit to that online.
I don't care.
Look,
Um
Nick, I know I'm not really one to preach about this since I did say publicly that I've read the Industrial Society and its future twice, but you know, if you don't want to end up in the same boat I am with the CIA, you might want to keep it down a notch.
I pirate movies that are exclusively Disney.
Okay, I can respect that. Disney
um
lost all respect after from me after Mulan 2020.
so Perfect
They
Blue is
trust.
on Shutter.
I think it's on Amazon as well because
I
we have
mean, it could
Amazon
be.
Prime. We have Amazon Prime thanks to our cousins. I don't know if you do, but if you look on there, they have a lot of really old, weird animes on there.
I would 100% recommend Perfect Blue. It's a very twisted movie, and I love it for that. It's really dark.
Hmm. All right.
But besides that, the Studio Ghibli, I'm not. I don't watch anime. I'm not weird. I'm not a weirdo. I have
Nick,
a life. Damn it.
I hate to break it to you, buddy, but you do know that most people nowadays, at least the young people, watch anime like crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Anime is not for weirdos nowadays, even the bad ones. So,
They're for
uh,
weirdos.
no, there's a lot of weirdos who are into anime, which unfortunately, a lot of the times anime caters to, but there's a lot of good within anime. You just have to sift through it. Like
I'm
I
not.
know,
I'm not gonna. I'm not even gonna bother sifting through it.
don't worry, Nick, I'll get you a list and everything.
Nope. I'm not watching it. I'm busy that day.
Don't worry. That's just another thing we'll have to fix.
I'm busy that day.
You can't be busy every day, dude. Someday is going to
I.
be your
You know.
funeral, and you
You know
can't.
what? For the next like 4 weeks, I am actually really busy with school stuff.
Hmm. You know,
Like
you
it
could
is
just try and.
really unfortunate.
It is, but you could just watch like 1 minute a day
I'm not. No.
of an anime
I'm
and
busy
just
that
kind of.
day.
I swear, in like 80 years or something, I'm going to turn up to your funeral, and the coffin's going to be empty with a sign said "Couldn't come, too busy." Hmm. Anyway,
Yeah.
I also played State of Decay 2 on a random note. Zombie game, good game. You should
I've
try
heard.
it.
I've heard.
I know you
I've
won't.
heard the first one.
Yes, the old one looks very old compared to the second one.
Interesting.
So it's a hardcore survival zombie game where essentially you don't play as a person, you play as a community, meaning you swap between which character you're playing as in that community. Any character who dies is dead forever, and you only end the game, you only lose the game when all your characters are dead. So
Huh.
I've been playing some of that, and it's actually been pretty fun.
That does sound fun.
The only problem it is just one massive hiccup with it. It has a day-night cycle. You can't see shit at night. You have no option to skip the night. So
That's
your
funny.
eyes half the time when it's night in game, if you don't have a flashlight or anything, your eyes will be incredibly strained.
And get a
I tried turning
flashlight.
up the brightness. Well, it doesn't really do much. And I
Oh.
tried turning up the brightness thinking it would fix it. The game doesn't actually have a brightness slider. It has a contrast slider, which means when you turn it on maximum at night, it looks like some half corrupted World War II movie, with those flickering things. The
Yeah,
game starts to freak out.
that's funny.
Anyway, so I am going to have to go to bed soon. I am exhausted from the
Yeah,
doctors
that's
and
fair.
I got to go to work. So,
What are we
anyway,
watching for next time?
all right, you recommend one first since I'm kind of confused on this.
All right. Do you want to watch another like psychological movie, or do you want to watch something a bit more normal?
Define normal.
I
You
don't
see,
know.
it's when you talk like,
I could. Okay, I'm gonna give you three movies to pick from.
hmm,
Okay.
all right,
You can either watch "It's Such a Beautiful Day," "Dark City," or "Almost Famous." You can't look up. Here's what I'll say. You can't look them up just by title.
all right. Is Dark City on Tubi?
I have no idea. Or
All right, I'm
again,
going
you
with
could just
that one.
pirate it.
I have enough problems, Nick. I
So
don't need any
just like
more of
Black
you
Swan, you
guys.
pirated.
I didn't. I watched it on Amazon.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. You can just watch it on. You just rent it on Amazon then for like $3.
Look, Nick, I already worked out how to get Citra working on my computer, so I don't need them to have any more reason to murk me.
Okay. Um,
You know what that is?
Dark Dark City's not on anything, so that's neither. That's something you'd have to either rent or pirate it.
Rent from who?
Amazon, probably.
All right, if it's on
Um,
Amazon, then sure.
Almost Famous is on Paramount Plus,
Hmm.
and
Uh,
then
how
it's such
about
a and then it's such a beautiful day. I would have to give it to you because it is only it's very rare.
all right?
Which
So
I could just send. I could just send you a link to it. It's also the shortest of them. It's like 62 minutes.
all right, so I'm thinking of Dark City, and if I can't find that, it's I guess you'll just mail me "It's a Beautiful Day."
I'm not gonna mail it to you. It's just I'll just send you the link to it.
Zoomers, darn Zoomers don't know how to do anything anymore.
Yeah, Dark City. I don't know. I mean, pick one. What do you want to do? Dark City or It's Such a Beautiful Day?
Dark City.
All right, we'll do Dark City then. So what am I watching?
All right, I'm kind of split on this because,
Okay.
all right, there is the Great Martian War, which I brought up earlier, which you might actually like since it's a very well-made movie. There's Look Who's Back, which you can find on YouTube, which
You've
is
told me about
about
that one
essentially,
before. You've told me about that
yeah,
movie
have you,
before.
okay, but have you watched it?
I have not watched it.
All right. And Mises Blue, which is a YouTube movie, not made by YouTube, it's a movie on YouTube, essentially a horror movie animated using SFM from TF2.
Okay.
What?
I just said okay.
Oh, I picked Mises Blue as an option because if you're more psychological horror type and weird movie stuff, that might you might actually like that one.
Yeah, can I pick the
Well,
movie? 'Cause there's one on this
yes.
list that I kind of want to see.
All right.
The
Okay.
Crazies.
Oh, the original one?
Yeah, I want to see that. That's been on my list.
All right. I'm not sure which ones it's on, but I know it's on Tubi. That's where I saw it.
Tubi's free. I could do that.
Yeah. It's like a slightly better version of cable.
All right. I'll watch
All
The
right.
Crazies and you'll watch Dark City.
All right. Will do. We will get you to like Shrek someday, though.
No. It's a solid like 5 out of 10.
Don't worry, Nick. We'll save you from yourself.
I'm okay. I'm doing fine.
I'm okay. I'm doing fine. Don't worry. Anyway, you keep up with that, Nick. I'm going to have to go to bed soon because I'm not fine. So, anyway, all of our subscribers, all three of you, I'd like to thank you for listening in. Nick, thank you for having such a wonderful conversation. I'm like, The Watchmen is the best movie ever made.
No, it's
I'm
not.
your other host, Duncan. This obstinate one is named Nick, and we're signing off. Good night.
Right.